Welcome, everybody, to beautiful Bird's Nest Stadium in Georgetown, Kentucky. Friday night football, doubleheader style, opening night style. It is the second annual it's not the Battle of the Birds, it's the Battle of Elkhorn Creek, presented by BGO. I'm Cal Oaks, along with Scotty Sutton. We're here to bring you the action first of Great Crossing in Western Hills. They'll kick it off at 6 o'clock here at the top of the hour, and then later on, 30 minutes after the conclusion of this game, we'll have Scott County going up against Franklin County. One thing we didn't have last year, Scotty, was a close contest on this night. Both games last year were one-sided. Great Crossing 50-2 over Western Hills. Franklin County with a big 43-14 win that shocked us all, I think, with the ease that they did it against Scott County. We expecting things to be a little tighter tonight. They sort of have to be, don't they?
I think so. And especially that second game, I certainly feel that way. But Franklin County still got a ton of talent, and Scott County, proud tradition, and they probably thought about this game all year long. In this first game, we could talk about numbers. Western Hills only having 28 kids out, and Great Crossing certainly has quite a few. But what jumps out at me is the experience. If you look over at the Western Hills side, they only have 4 seniors on the entire team, and Great Crossing has 11 senior starters, and in my mind also in the most important positions. They have 3 on the offensive line. Gabe Nichols, their quarterback, is coming back. All of their linebackers are seniors, and they have a couple of pass catchers that are seniors that are can certainly take it the distance. So it's not just about the numbers. To me, it's about experience in this first game, and I think that's going to be tough for Western Hills to overcome.
You look at the seniors on this depth chart for Great Crossing, and it's a reminder that they've been there for the entire history of this program. They were here freshman year for 72-7 on opening night. A lot of things that left a bad taste in their mouth. They found a way to get a win that season, built that building block up at Grant County. Then they took another step forward. One of their 3 wins the following year was against this Western Hills team. And I can't help but think that maybe Coach Miller at Western Hills probably agreed to this series back when Great Crossing was that lovable new kid on the block that you didn't feel was going to have a chance to blow you out. But that's been the case both times that they played. And certainly tonight, it seems like Great Crossing is the heavy favorite.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, it's just been a step. Each year they've gotten better and better. And last year, in that playoff game, we couldn't ask for a better game with that. And I think they're gonna come out this year and do great things. When you got kids like Fisher, a highly recruited kid, like I said, Nichols really impressed throwing the football, and he's back. Anytime you have a senior leader at quarterback position, I just think it's huge. I think that's why a lot of people are talking up UK this year. Nobody wants to talk about the big beef up front. They just want to talk about that quarterback. But there is truth to the fact that if you've got a guy who's been there and been through the wars, that he can lead you to a lot of victories late in the game.
The 2 guys I want to look at defensively for Great Crossing, you mentioned Orion Fisher, and he attracts a lot of attention. You're going to have to double team him to stop him. And when you do that, there's a couple of guys named Pilot Lacosco and Caden Allen who are just going to throw you for a loss. They're going to be in your backfield. They're going to come in untouched. They're going to be tough for a lot of offensive lines to deal with this year.
There's no doubt. I mean, and that's what I was impressed with last year. Was just the front 7 able to get to the quarterback, stop a lot of the runs, and that's just a credit to the coaching staff. They just continue to build this team up, build this program up, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they play tonight.
Gabe Nichols, the quarterback, 1,300 yards passing last year, 14 touchdowns. What I liked about him is he didn't make that big mistake that kills you in a game. He kept his interceptions to a bare minimum, and he's got some weapons out there. We can talk all night about the catches Zachary Kelly made that ended up on ESPN, number 1 on the top 10 plays. But he's got another guy on the other side this year. DJ Blunt's come in, and he's probably better known on the basketball side of things, but he's going to provide a weapon that's going to keep everybody honest against Kelly. And I think the running game is going to take off this year, too. They thought it would last year, and it did to a degree, but it was by committee. They had some serious injuries, one of which was Jaquise Patterson. He's back as a senior. I like their chances feeding him the ball. And guys like Caden Allen and Isaiah Johnson, who got plenty of carries last year, can spell him as well. So I think they're going to strike a balance it's going to be difficult for a lot of teams to handle.
Yeah, and a running game is a quarterback's best friend, but it's really going to be, I think difficult for a lot of teams to stop when you can be that balanced. When you've got two weapons like that. I mean, we saw what Nichols did last year without a running game because they were so injured at that position. They almost had to come out and throw it all three downs. But this year, just like you said, they're going to be able to pound it with three senior offensive linemen there. And then, you get into third and four or less, an offensive coordinator can do a lot of things.
The captain's just about ready for the meeting at midfield. I see Jaquise Patterson, Orion Fisher, Kevin O'Doherty, Drake Bird down there. Gabe Nichols was standing with them and now walked away, but I'm sure he'll be one of those senior leaders of this team. It is a team that does have to figure out life after Caleb Perry. He's kind of been the Swiss Army knife for them on both offense and defense. He's now at the highly regarded there. I've seen and heard a lot of people with eyebrows raised and jaws dropping at some of the things he's done in their camp in his true freshman season. But you can't discount the fact that they've to deal with life without him, and he did so many things on the especially on the defensive side of the ball where he was the leading tackler all three seasons.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that it's a void, but if you remember looking back last year, two different scenarios. One was in the Western Hills game where their quarterback had been injured right before the week of, I think, that they were supposed to play. And we talked about, it's so difficult when you've had somebody right there and then you haven't been able to practice without it. The same thing with Scott County in that Franklin County game. Remember, they were going to do some wildcat. They came out, and on the second play of the game, he gets hurt. And then it's like, okay, where do we go from here? But in this scenario, even though Caleb Perry was tremendous, they've had all spring. You've got all fall camp. So, yeah, it's a void, but it's like, okay, we know it's not like he just got hurt. It's like we got to get over this and let's do it.
It is part of life here in high school and then in college football. You got a finite amount of time, and then it's all about how you build your program. It's all about how those players inspire the next group that's coming up through. And certainly there's some players that have paid their dues, and you'll be seeing some guys that I think it's a great thing about how Great Crossing has built this program. There's some guys that have waited their turn that are now juniors and seniors that we're going to see for the first time in some important spots.
Yeah, it's just, there were so many kids that were young when they started the program, but that doesn't mean just because somebody didn't play as a freshman that they can't play now. You get that improvement, you get in that weight room, and just like you said, the fourth year, so they're established now. I don't think they're not going anywhere.
Tonight's action brought to you, presented by Bluegrass Orthopedics, serving athletes of all ages. Also brought to you by Georgetown News Graphics, Scott County's 24/7 news source. Galvin's on Main. Stop by Galvin's after the game or anytime. Their menu offers over 100 items, and we like them all. Proud corporate sponsor of Bird's Nest Sports. DMK CPA, Denise M. Keene for your tax and auditing needs, and Chick-fil-A, home of the original chicken sandwich. We've got some scholarship presentations going on down there, I think, through BGO. Looks like Britton Franklin of Western Hills, the recipient for his team. And I'm trying to see, the number is obscured for Great Crossing.
Dr. Huff is an orthopedic surgeon specializing in sports medicine. Dr. Huff and Abby Van Bussen daily treat everything from rotator cuff tears to knee replacements to acute sports injuries.
Big smile on his face, but he won't show us his number. Show
that
us
check
number.
is covering up.
Yeah.
He's smiling about the check. I always smile about checks, too. So.
Has been heavily involved in giving back to the community they represent. For Great Crossing,
Tristan Hyde is the recipient. He is a senior. 5'6", 134-pound senior, wide receiver, defensive back. Britton Franklin is a big boy who I would imagine starts up front on both sides for the Wolverines. They will go back to their respective teams, and Warhawks ready to come through the inflated tunnel over there.
Always an exciting time when you kick off high school football. And won't be too long before it's getting cold again.
No sport has the more dramatic temperature change from week 1 to week 14 and 15.
It's that time. I need everybody on your feet. It's a party!
Already got the frog in my throat. That doesn't bode well.
I got to go on the DL already.
We got to push through it. We're in that day and age thing to stifle a cough. Warhawks take the field. The band and the flags and the banners. Good atmosphere here.
It is a good atmosphere. And as the game goes along, obviously these Franklin County and Scott County fans will be filling in. So I'd say around halftime, this place will be packed.
4,000 was the estimated attendance.
I do remember talking to DT after. It was an amazing crowd.
Throughout the evening. Receive. Jack Harold will kick it off for the Warhawks, who are wearing the green tops, the blue bottoms.
And we got to switch sides. Lined up on the wrong side.
Western Hills was all ready to go at the left side of the stadium, going from left to right on your radio dial or on your live stream if you're watching on NFHS.
It's like Cameron Flynn, a freshman, back.
You said not many seniors on this Western Hills team. They are.
And the other is one of the 4 seniors, Jaden Youngblood. So
short on numbers and experience. Harold will put it in the air, and the 2022 season is underway.
Ooh.
That was a tricky kickoff, almost covered by the Warhawks. Instead, it will go out of bounds. There'll be a flag on the play. Western Hills will probably just elect to take it.
And I tell you, that football didn't go very far. It just sort of stuck in the turf.
It was almost by design. I think they were hoping that Western Hills, maybe season opener, lacking some of that experience, as you mentioned, might not cover the kickoff, and they didn't. They didn't really show a lot of interest in it. I think they assumed it was headed out of bounds.
Guy made a great effort to try to get it before it rolled out, but
Garrison Graves, a sophomore, is the starting quarterback for Western Hills. He'll line up in the shotgun or the spread. Double receivers on each side. He'll hand it off. A lot of room up the middle, left tackle, and lots of room. Gets away from a tackler in midfield, still going to the 20, cutting back to the 10. Western Hills takes it to the house on the first play. Jaden Youngblood, 65 yards, and how do you like that? The Wolverines, who didn't get in the end zone for 48 minutes a year ago, do it in 14 seconds here.
Well, the O-line just blew a huge hole open. I mean, I don't think they expected that. You could see the linebackers creeping up, expecting run, but there was a hole you could drive a truck through right there, and then he just turned on the jets, and terrific job by Western Hills O-line. That's got to get, you got to feel good about that, give yourself some confidence, and may wake Great Crossing up.
I would say that's a teachable moment for the Warhawks coaching staff. Is not what they expected or wanted coming out of the gates. Kick is good, and it's 7-0 with 11:46 remaining in the first quarter.
Great Crossings broke through the line right there. I thought they had it blocked easy, and it just went right through through their arms. But you can see right now, coach will bring them up, and he's, the first thing he's going to say is, let's not panic. But the second thing he's going to say is, okay, you are in a ball game. Let's wake up.
That's the wake-up call. If Great Crossing needed one, they get one there. Is Jaden Youngblood. You mentioned not a lot of seniors on this roster. He is one, and he ran like one there. They had a chance to get him at around midfield. He just squirmed away. It was an arm tackle. And he took off. 7-0. Western Hills Wolverines on top.
And you're right, Cal. They're right there at the 50, but at the line of scrimmage, it wasn't like it was a bunch of missed tackles. I mean,
that was just a big hole.
Big hole. And
it's almost like they saw something on film from one of the. Of course, all you have is the two scrimmages to go by.
Yeah. And I noticed the Youngblood kid is on the kickoff team.
Great Crossing going to try to pay him back on the kick. There's going to be a flag. It's going to come back. It would have been a touchdown for Isaiah Johnson, 76 yards, but hold everything. Multiple flags at the Western Hills 40. I think Warhawks are probably going to start near midfield after all this.
Well, they're going to get Logan Clayton, who pancaked the kid. But I tell you, the more, it just seems like every Friday and Saturday, if you're blocking somebody, it seems like it's fine. Then as soon as you pancake them, they feel like they got to throw a flag. And I don't really think that was holding.
It was there were multiple officials on the scene looking at it.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those I wasn't surprised to see them throw it, but you're right. I don't necessarily think it should have been. They'll start at their own 47 as a result, 15 yards or 10 yards from the spot of the foul. He did put the guy right on his back.
He sure
it looked like a good hit. Nichols in the spread, two backs behind him, going in motion. And then there's another flag down up the middle. Patterson, not much there, big gain of 3 or 4. Kelly was the receiver in motion. You'll be hearing his name a lot this season. That's a illegal procedure / false start. It'll be pushed back 5 yards to make it 1st and 15, 11:28 to play here in the opening quarter. Warhawks trail 7-0. Good crowd filing in on the home side. Western Hills, not a bad delegation, I guess, traveling from Frankfort for an early start. If they got here late, they missed a big moment for their team on the opening play. Nichols claps his hands, takes the snap, the handoff, sweeping to the left. Lots of room over there. Another flag. It's been a flag fest so far as Dylan Lay got the pitch.
Well, I think they're going to get a hold right here.
Warhawks continue to go backwards. They had a touchdown wiped out, and now they've had 2 consecutive flags. An early jump and now a hold. It'll be 1st and 20 plus. 10 yards from the spot. They'll mark it from the 42 to go back to the 32.
And I tell you, when you run wide like that, and there's so much room out there, if the back doesn't cut it up at some point, that's a long time that you have to hold that block. And I think at some point you're just kind of grabbing.
Yeah, when you're running laterally and the play takes a long time to
difficult.
develop. 1st and 25. Jaquise Patterson on the handoff.
Nice
Good
count.
room off left tackle. He's dragging a would-be tackler past the original line of scrimmage, right at the original marker. So it'll be 2nd and 10, 15-yard gain for Jaquise on his first carry of the season.
Nice counter play right there. Fake right and then go left. Nice hole. And that's a great call by Coach Bowen right there. Just get some of it back. You don't have to get it all back in one play. Now you're in 2nd and 10. my guess is they may come right back with it again, and then you get third and manageable.
Nichols, quick out to the right. Good catch there, and a first down for DJ Blunt. We mentioned he's new to the program, transferred. He's played at a couple of schools, multi-sport, Bourbon County most recently, as well as Henry Clay. He'll be an asset to the basketball team as an incoming senior. Catch there is good for 12 yards and a first down at the Western Hills 41. But that first call with Patterson shows the confidence Ricky Bowling, Nathan Peniston, and these coaches have.
Yeah.
This year, that veteran line, 1st and 25, you can still be okay handing it off. Quick hit, nowhere to go, hanging on for dear life as the tackler until he gets some help, and Western Hills swarms late, knocks him down right at the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
And I tell you, Cal, Elijah Samuels is not going to get credit for that tackle, but he blew up the play. He came in, caused him to hesitate, and then the rest of the Wolverines got there. But he's stout, not real tall, but boy, you could see him knifing in there. It was a good job by him.
They've got some size up front, do the Wolverines. There's Nichols, another quick throw to the left. That one, did it hit the turf?
Now they're giving it to him.
They're going to give Kelly the catch at the 38. Didn't gain much there, maybe 3. It'll be 3rd and 7. Zachary Kelly's first catch. Nichols 2 for 2 on the drive.
The Western Hills corners are playing way off the ball. If they continue to give it to them, I guess they'll just keep throwing it out there. But wait for later in the game. They'll pump that and do a double move and go deep because at some point those guys have got to come up.
Nichols fakes the handoff to Lay, throws to Blunt, who gets stuck there in midair. Good hit, good catch by Blunt to hold on. Cameron Flynn, a freshman, made the hit.
It's like
not a
4th and 1.
first down. It'll be 4th and a short yard. Ball marked just inside the 32. See, and that's where I'm not always a fan of the spread stuff, and it'll be Western Hills ball. You're penalizing yourself 4 or 5 yards on a 4th and inches play there, just by the way you line up. I know you got to go with what gets you here, but yep. Sometimes it works against you, I think.
Britton Franklin, one of those 4 seniors, knifed in. Tremendous play by him.
Western Hills will take over on down.
And I'm a little surprised because the strength, or the seniors on that Great Crossing whole line is your guard, center guard, and that's where they're getting the most penetration right now.
7-0 Western Hills, 8:15 to play, first quarter. Wolverines have the ball, trying to expand that lead. A little bit of a surprise, I think, and they're running wide, and Great Crossing snuffed it out. Drake Bird was there along with Caden Allen. Good pursuit there to stretch it out and keep it to no gain. Flynn, again, the freshman, who made a good hit on the defensive series, had the carry there.
I think that's something we're going to see a lot of tonight is, just like we talked about when Youngblood took that ball all the way to the house, and then he's on the kickoff team the very next play. So you're going to see a lot of guys playing a lot of minutes.
Yeah, and that's going to be a factor as we go into
it
this game. Even if it is a close game,
yep.
How will Western Hills be able to withstand that?
Yeah, it's not blazing out there right now, but it's hot enough.
It's 85.
Yeah.
It's normal August weather. Rolling out. Didn't have anybody to throw to. Now just tucks it in. Garrison Graves will scramble and not get back to the line of scrimmage.
And that was a coverage sack. That was a tremendous job by the defensive backs for the Warhawks. And he just, he rolled out, didn't have anything there. And instead of, which is a smart play, go ahead and get what you can get. But that was a tremendous job right there by the secondary.
It's going to be 3rd and 13. The down marker is malfunctioning, so they've got to bring in a new one. And away we go. 3rd and 13 from the Western Hills 31, 6:45 to play first quarter. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, grabbing on for dear life. Good tackle there to get around the ankle. I think it was Zach Morris made the initial hit. Another loss of one. Good series for the Warhawks to bounce back from the one-play touchdown drive earlier.
Well, sure. I'm trying to figure out this down marker. Is it right? Because
they ran that sweep on first down, and then they had then they had the scramble. Low snap. Ooh. Almost blocked. It was partially blocked, but now they're going to get him for running into the kicker. If he touched the ball,
which it looked to me like he did, and they're conferring right now, so we'll see.
Zach Morris was right there at the doorstep, and there was contact, obviously.
Now he's just going to call a 5-yard running in, which
if it's the garden variety, they'll have to kick it again, which is good for Western Hills because they lost yardage on that punt. If it wasn't a block, it was a shank and went backwards. There is an ongoing conversation. Or are they picking it up and waving it off? I can't tell.
Well, I think Western Hills is, coach is like, wait a minute. First of all, that ain't running into the kicker. He got crushed. But secondly, it looked to me like he certainly deflected it. So,
I mean, it's hard to tell from here, but it felt like he certainly got something because, like I said, it went backwards. It is a 5-yard penalty. It'll be 4th and 9. They will have to punt it again. Travis Reasons, a sophomore, is the punter for the Wolverines. No, I'm sorry. It's number 21, Braden Flynn, who is a sophomore, and he shanked that one as well, and it goes minus yards.
I'm laughing because Coach Miller, the ball literally went straight to him, and he just slapped it in the air. He was so mad.
Save and a beauty. Minus 4-yard punt for Western Hills. He might be inclined to just go for it the rest of the night.
Yeah. Well, and that comes back to the concentration by the kicker because he's probably so worried about the rush that you just take your eye off that football. And when you do that, bad things are going to happen.
Great crossing in business at the Western Hills 31. Nichols will take the shotgun snap. Hands it off. Fakes the handoff to Patterson. Throws it out to Kelly. That was a dangerous. They're signaling incomplete.
He did immediately, but I don't know, Cal. What do you think? I thought that was
right on the borderline. That is a tough call to make. They were authoritative about making it right off.
I'm going to tell you, if that ball had been thrown to the other sideline, Western Hills would be going crazy right now.
Probably a good idea that Great Crossing threw it over here. It will be Patterson on the carry. He's got a head of steam. No, it's not Patterson. It's number 6. I'm sorry. Isaiah Johnson, untouched to the house. And we mentioned that by committee. They've got a lot of guys that can get the job done in the backfield, and we saw it there. Isaiah Johnson's first carry of the night goes for 6, and they're an extra point away from tying it with 5:23 to play in the opening quarter.
And I tell you what's interesting is normally if you throw it on first down and you don't get anything, I'm somebody who likes to come back with another throw. You'll see that in the NFL a lot, and they'll get 1 yard and it's 3rd and 9, but give Coach Bolin credit. He knows his team. They come back with a run, and he takes it to the house and not even touched.
Yep, another hole that you or I might have been able to gain 5 or 10 yards through anyway. Maybe not get to the end
I would have got 10 and then pulled a hand. But.
Jack Harold kicks the PAT, and it is a 7-7 tie with 5:23 to play in the first quarter. Couple of good answers there from Great Crossing. First defensively, and then on the offensive side of things. Isaiah Johnson, 31 yards untouched up the middle. Brand new ball game. Want to thank some more of our sponsors that make Bird's Nest Broadcasting possible. Clark's Pump and Shop, Return, Refresh, Refuel. Georgetown Community Hospital, where your health and safety remain their number one priority. West Banco, by all accounts, better. Greens Toyota of Lexington, great people, great cars. Think Greens. And Oser Paint and Flooring, your hometown paint and flooring connection. Harold will kick it off. 7-7 tie here on a beautiful opening night. As we said, game time temperature 85. That's what it says right now as well. A few fair weather clouds. Floating the kick over there again. That's he just got clocked. Drake Bird's helmet comes off, and the player from Western Hills is flat on his face, and that is a scary sight. They threw a flag, so I don't know what will become of this play or even who recovered it. I was just so busy focused on the injured player.
Well, I think they're going to get Bird for targeting.
Yeah, he came in like a truck, and there was just no time to react for the Wolverine, who is down. Don't know his identity, and we're not going to guess if he's got family and friends watching.
Yeah, and he's going to be out of the game.
Yeah, he will not return tonight. This is one area where high school athletics have come a long way. They don't take any chances with head and neck injuries. There's no more how many fingers am I holding up or any of that stuff.
Well, and there's also no, let's look at the replay, because you can't do that in high school.
Don't
you just
have
got to
that.
make the best decision you can make.
In college, Bird might be done for the night. He was just trying to make a play there. I don't see any intent, just a kid getting excited on special teams. And as we hear time and time again, special teams is where a lot of the injuries do still happen in football.
Yep.
It's just people flying in all sorts of different directions. Xavion Reed, who is one of the seniors for the Wolverines, and he is stumbling to his feet.
He is.
That is a scary, scary sight. Certainly wish Mr. Reed the best. Drake Bird feels terrible about it. It's not. There's no intent there. He's just, as we said, just trying to make something happen, trying to get to the ball.
Yeah.
That play is designed to be kind of like a squib kick, and you hope the other team doesn't cover it up.
And what's surprising right there is it was basically the exact same thing they did to start the game off. They just did it to the other side, and yet Western Hills still looked shocked by it. At some point. So the ball's just kind of – it bounced up at the last second, but nobody was there, and Bird and the young man collided. So Bird's helmet's actually the one that flew off. Yeah.
Which would mean he'd be ineligible for the next play.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Well,
there's going to be a 15-yard penalty.
And it's too bad for Bird, because not only would he be out for the rest of this game, but for the next game.
It's going to move the ball into Great Crossing territory.
It's going to be a 15-yard penalty assessed to the Warhawks. We're going to kick it again.
Nope, they're going to re-kick, which I don't know. The way kickoffs have been going for Western Hills, I might just take the ball. Or if Great Crossing recovered it, I guess they have to make them kick it again. That is the part I didn't account for there.
But now you can see Coach Miller saying, look, get up here in this 15-yard area, because that's where they've kicked it the last couple of times.
Tough break all the way around for Great Crossing, and they will kick it again from their 25, 5:19 to play in the opening quarter. 7-7 tie here at the Bluegrass Orthopedics Battle of Elkhorn Creek. Don't forget, Scott County and Franklin County to follow 30 minutes after the conclusion of this one. I'll be joined by another Sutton for that one, is the rumor. Ball floating to the other 25 where Western Hills will receive it. Good room there for the
good
return
tackle.
man, but a nice open field stick by Jarius Patterson.
Terrific tackle right there by Patterson.
He
Open
had-
field.
He had a running start from
Yeah.
his own 25, got to about the 39, and Patterson knocked him over the top. Head over tea kettle. Western Hills ball. Tie score. Birds back on the fields. I guess the rule in high school is not an ejection. It is just a 15-yard penalty. Thankfully.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
That would be pretty severe to miss 2 games of your senior season
Yeah.
when we barely underway. Run off right tackle, and a gang of green is there to stop it. Caden Cedar, Malachi Young, among others. Gain of a yard, 2nd and 9.
And Cal, just going back to that kickoff, was that Patterson or was that Cobbins that made that?
Could be. Man, I thought I saw number 3, but
It-
again, these numbers are hard to
They
read.
are.
Even the white on green from a distance, 'cause
Right.
they have some different fonts to them.
Coach Miller is not a happy camper right now.
Things started off well for the Wolverines, but they have gone south in a hurry. They're still in a 7-7 ball game here, but things are trending in the direction of the Warhawks.
Well, you run a simple play, you get a couple of yards, you line up for the next play, and you can't get where you're supposed to be. It's got to be so frustrating for a coach.
You ran your best play right out of the gate and got
Yeah.
a 65-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it's been going backwards. Even your punt went backwards, and now you're just trying to get some forward momentum again. Looks like they are taking the gator over there to maybe help transport the Western Hills player back to the locker room where he can get further evaluation, as he is still sitting over there on the bench and not looking well.
Certainly hope that young man's okay.
It's a tough way to start your senior
is.
season.
It
I
is.
mean, gosh. And if you're a senior in the year 2022, you've been through a lot as
You
it
have.
is.
That's it. Exactly right.
You've had two full seasons impacted by COVID. Now you're getting your senior chance and a head injury to start it. Well-designed play there, but just overthrown as a nice fake, but good coverage by Bird, and Graves just missed his receiver. It'll be 3rd and 9.
Yeah, and Graves showed a nice arm.
Throws
right
a
there.
nice
I mean,
ball.
He's got a nice ball. But
We've said
well
that about a lot of
defended.
these opposing quarterbacks that have
Yeah, I
come in
remember
here.
last year,
If
yeah.
you get some guys with some guns, we've got a flag down. Is this a substitution
Illegal
issue
substitution,
or is
I
it a
think.
sideline warning? Sideline warning. So no harm, no foul at this point. It's on Great Crossing, 3rd and 9. Next one would be a 15-yard penalty. Graves will throw it again. He's under duress, and he will be knocked down. The sack by Lawrence Stroh, the senior.
beautiful swim move right there on the left end. You can see it developing. Just a quick move, got to the quarterback, lowered the shoulder.
A loss of 6 will make it 4th and forever. Braden Flynn will drop back to punt. Last time he did so, it went backwards twice. The second one counted for a -4. Great Crossing smells blood in the water right now. Low snap again, gets through his legs. Here they come. Knocked down, picked up. Great Crossing ball at the Western Hills 16. on the recovery. That time it was definitely Tyrus Cobbins who celebrates with a coach and his teammates. Cobbins was just in there, and even if that snap had been good, he might have blocked it anyway.
Well, you can see Coach Miller, he's just trying to find somebody to yell at. He's so mad right now. Everybody's kind of staying away.
And now we've got substitutions.
Well, they made him come off the field for some reason. I don't
know if it's blood or what. DJ Blunt got sent to the sideline.
I think maybe maybe his knee pads weren't covered. You could see the officials like, I've warned you, you're going to go fix this.
Hand off to Patterson, and right there was number 73, Britton Franklin.
He has done a tremendous job all night long.
Second and 10 at the Western Hills 16. Great Crossing trying to get its first lead of the season here late in the first quarter. A couple of long runs to this point. Great Crossing tied it moments ago on a 31-yard run by Isaiah Johnson. Snap to Nichols. Handoff. Nope, fake the handoff, but now he's going to get sacked.
I don't think they're going
to get a flag again. Franklin, who else, makes the stop for a loss.
I think they might get a face mask right here.
Did they get the incidental face mask at the very least? Great Crossing is backing up. Might have been a hold. I didn't see anybody there, though.
I didn't either, but they're talking to Coach Miller, so he says, yeah, we'll take it.
Yep, it is a hold. And you've got to take it if you're Coach Don Miller. You've got to back him up as much as you can, get him out of field goal range at least. Make him earn it the hard way. Second and 20 from the 26.
I'm still impressed with Western Hills' interior defensive line. It's not the first time they've been in the backfield tonight.
Britton Franklin's a stud. He has been in the backfield constantly. Play action, slant over the middle. It's going to be a short gain across the 20.
That was a tough catch there.
That was Zachary Kelly. He knows what it's like to make tough catches. That's his second of the game. It'll be 3rd and 13. Back in the red zone are the Warhawks. 2:15 to go, first quarter.
Bringing the blitz.
Bad snap. Nichols is going to have to cover it up. He'll try to pick it up. Now he'll fall on it at the 32. That's a tough squander for GC. It will be 4th and long. Unless they can pick up 25 yards here, it's a wasted opportunity.
And I think that's where O'Daugherty was. He could see they were bringing the house, and it was.
They're going to try a field goal here? I think they are.
They sure are, yeah.
Jack Harold is going to attempt a 49-yard field goal with the hold by Drake Bird.
I saw him make a 40-yarder in warm-ups.
You did. You mentioned that.
But
he's kicking into the field house end of the stadium. Good snap. Bird gets it down. Line drive, just not long enough. And it will be no good. So Western Hills staves off a threat.
He had to hesitate just a hair with the snap being fumbled a little bit and the hold, I think that got him out of his rhythm. But he looked good in warm-ups. I saw him splitting the uprights quite a bit. Cal, the thing is, here we are, 1:19 to go in the first quarter, and it feels like Great Crossings is dominated, and it's 7-7.
Yeah, other than the one play, they have dominated, but Western Hills still very much alive and well. They just need to. They need to do that again. Is what they need to do. Yeah. Their down-to-down offense has been unimpressive, but boy, that one play.
I'm almost willing to bet we're going to see that play right here. Coach Miller was like, "All right, let's go back to it.
Go back to your bread and butter." Yep,
And
they
they
would have
they
if
were
they
going
hadn't
to,
put
and
it
they
on the
fumbled it.
ground,
Yep.
and that's going to be a loss. Jaden Youngblood, the man who ran 65 yards on the opening play, just got swarmed there as he had to cut his losses. Back to the 15. It will be 2nd and 15. Lacosco and Allen were there. We touted them before the game. They're going to get a lot more tackles before all is said and done.
And here I'd like to see a quick hitter for Graves so he can maybe get some confidence up. If you try to just go back there and throw a 15, 20-yard pass, Fisher or somebody's going to be eating his lunch. So kind of like what we talked about on the Great Cross Subs. Coach Bowling called that run play on 2nd and 10. I'd like to see him try to get some of it back.
Garrison
Just right there,
Graves
yep.
will throw it. Nice, well-designed throw there, but they didn't get a lot out of it. In fact, it'll be a loss. Well, no, they got back within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, but a big hit again by Drake Bird. Yeah, Drake Bird is just bringing the
Yeah, he is. He's bringing the
the
lumber.
lumber.
But now it's 3rd and 11 instead of, if you had lost 5 and it's 3rd and 20.
Final seconds of the first quarter will tick away. In a 7-7 game here on the Bird's Nest Broadcast Network. Cal Oaks along with Scotty Sutton.
I think if somebody had asked Coach Miller, okay, at the end of the first, would you take 7-7? He would have jumped on it. But now if you went over and interviewed him, he'd almost be furious by the way some of the things that have gone on.
Yeah,
for
the
his
last
team.
11 minutes and 46 seconds have not gone
Yeah.
the way he would have drawn them up.
But they have, they have made a couple of defensive stands when they've had to. Great Crossings had it inside the 30 a couple times and came away with nothing. So
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we would like for the dance team. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's make a bunch of noise for one of the baddest dance teams in the land. Accompanied by Western Hills, your Lady Warhawks.
Guess we've got a dance team exhibition here between quarters as the pageantry of the VGO Battle of Elkhorn Creek.
Great Crossings has just a few dancers out there.
Just a couple. That's a football team.
That's at least 40.
And the band, even more so, in the end zone. Players are ready to go. They're not quite buying this, but X gonna give it to us whether we want it or not. Great effort by the dance team. It's great to see. You got this is opening night. You got to remember for dance, cheerleaders, band.
Everybody, that's right.
You got some youth football players that are probably out here for the first time in a long time, and they're just soaking it all in.
Well, and those dancers, they work.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
extremely hard.
It is a year-round. It's a competitive tryout just to even
yes.
make the team.
Yep.
Second quarter about to get underway. Imagine the stats are just about even thanks to that 65-yard run.
Yep.
But we'll maybe see some at halftime. But hasn't been a lot of consistent offense, even for Great Crossing. They moved the ball and got shut down a couple of times, and then they had the long run by Isaiah Johnson. Graves.
Wide open.
He just missed him, and he wouldn't have gone the distance anyway because he was running at such an angle toward the sideline that he would have been out at midfield. But Cameron Flynn, the freshman, was wide open and just slipped over his fingertips.
Just a pump and go, and they bid on it, and God, he
And
was so wide open.
The Great Crossing secondary kind of shrugging at each other, saying, "What happened there?"
Well, and Graves is thinking to himself, why didn't I just kind of loft it out there as opposed to it still probably should have been caught. A pretty decent throw, but
Yeah, Graves didn't miss him by a whole lot.
no.
They're going to try a different punter here. They've got Jaden Youngblood back there. You got to be wary of his ability to run the ball, but now he has to scramble to get the bad snap. Now he's going to run for his life, and Great Crossing's going to have tremendous field position once again. Another disaster on special teams for Western Hills.
Tackles made with number 50, Clay Spradlin.
Clay Spradlin was there to make the tackle.
Warhawks will start their possession from the Wolverine 11-yard line.
The Warhawks need to take this in right here. It's, get the ball on the 11-yard line. You've been gifted that. You've got to take advantage.
It was a gift. They've got some special teams issues to work through, do the Wolverines. Gabe Nichols, 14 touchdown passes a year ago. Little inside handoff, it looked like, and going to the end zone for 6. That was an easy one for number 7, Jaquise Patterson. I thought he made like a little shovel pass to the guy coming this way. That was a quick handoff.
It was, and it was well blocked in the interior. I'm guessing O-line coach for Great Crossings got into him a little bit the last break and said, let's go.
So with 11:39 remaining in the second quarter, the Hawks are on top for the first time. Jack Harold with a chance to make it 14-7. Kick is no good. Wide right. 13-7 will be the score.
Cal, I'm reminded, 7, 8 years ago, I was at a Scott County game, and I won't mention the opponent, but it was extremely similar to this with the punting issues. They were just having terrible punting issues. And Scott County had blocked 1 or 2, and 1 or 2 were just like what we saw, where you couldn't get it back there. And they finally got off a good punt. And there was like a running into the kicker, so it was only 5 yards, and they took the penalty. And I remember thinking, are you kidding me? And of course, they block it and take it to the house. And I was like, what are we doing?
Not good. Harold will kick it off. His Warhawks on top, 13-7. Touchdown runs by Isaiah Johnson and Jaquise Patterson, a junior and a senior. Deep kickoff, almost over the head. In fact, had trouble handling it at the 10-yard line, did Micah Cleveland, another freshman. Ball's on the ground. They'll pick it up again inside the 10 and swarmed there. Bird on the tackle. Play whistle dead, so it's going to be Wolverines' ball.
And I was just about to say that Cleveland had not been back there the previous times.
This game has been a comedy of special teams errors right now, most of them for the team in white.
Yeah, they had number 6, Cameron Flynn, back there, and I don't know if he's injured or.
The physical toll is starting to mount for the Wolverines, and the night is still young, 11:28 to go in the second quarter.
Well, it's been a sloppy game. There's no question.
No, you can't. Even if you're a Great Crossing fan, you can't be thrilled with the nature of the level of play yet. But things are certainly starting to trend toward the home side of things. Ball at the 6. from the Cardinals end of the stadium, where we'll see Scott County and Franklin County later on tonight. That should be a good one. Got away from the first contact, but not the second, and Western Hills will be knocked for no gain.
And you're just not seeing that old line for Western Hills fire off like they were early. Great Crossings has had the best of it the last several plays.
Pilot Lacasco on the tackle. I think Josh Strayer was in on it as well. Second and 10. Changing the play call is quarterback Garrison Graves. He'll hand it off. Not much room there as Youngblood has not been able to get on track since that long run to start the game.
Well, and it's tough, and I'm sure Great Crossings has made an adjustment, but the defensive line is just controlling it right now, and there's just no holes. It'll be interesting here, see if Fisher does his thing. And
he was in on that tackle, but his bread and butter are the 11.5 sacks he had last season.
And they're moving him around right now. Now he's on the right side, so.
Rolling out is Graves. He's going to be in trouble if he doesn't get rid of it. He does, and he throws it to his own sideline, incomplete. Good coverage over there. Malachi Young.
Yeah, and you were right. Fisher was getting ready to lay the boom down on him, but he got rid of it. It's a good play, but now if you're Western Hills, you're right back to where you got to punt it again.
This is a horror show if you're the Western Hills fan, because now you're going to punt it from your own end zone. You might be better off just taking the safety.
I mean,
get some field position out of the deal at least.
I mean, that sounds crazy, but it's not. It really isn't. I mean, you would still be within a score.
If Great Crossing doesn't start this drive inside the 20, it'll be a miracle the way things have gone. And that is going straight up in the air and coming down. It will take a bounce for Western Hills, so we'll reach the 30. So they did manage to get a 23-yard punt off, their longest of the game, and a short field for the Warhawks with 9:46 to go in the first half.
I think Coach Bowling right here is going to see what Gabe Nichols. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see a play action, try to hit something deep down the field. You say deep, I say deep from the 30-yard line, but maybe
it's still a pretty safe distance.
Yeah. We'll see right here.
You've got some guys that can go up and get it. Kelly split to the right, Blunt to the left. He'll look to Blunt inside and underthrown. Blunt can't get there, incomplete. Second and 10.
Nichols like to have that one back. Just a low throw.
Yeah, he had. I think if he puts that in Blunt's breadbasket, he might have been gone.
Yeah. But it still wasn't down the field as we talked about. Just a nice little crossing route.
Little toss to Johnson. First down and more across the 20, inside the 20 to the 17. Tackled by Graves.
Outstanding run. I like the kid got wide, got there in a hurry, but then when the tackle was about to be made, he lowers the shoulder, just didn't run out of bounds and got himself a first down.
They'll mark it at the 18. It's a gain of 13 yards. Another red zone visit for the Warhawks. They've had a couple of sequences where they were unable to finish tonight. Nichols to Blunt, spins away inside the 10 to the 5. Call it the 6. It'll be first and goal. Slow to get up is the tackler for Western Hills. Maybe a cramp there for Braden Flynn. He's been quite active in the first half of this game on a warm night. See a lot of cramps on opening night anyway, just because of the nature of the beast. Clock
that's
stops.
what it is.
Yeah. Has all the earmarks of it. He's kind of stretching and trying to. Clock has stopped with 9:04 remaining in the second quarter. They're bringing him a water bottle. So I think the Great Crossing coaching staff thinks it's a cramp.
Yeah.
Now Coach Miller out there to take over. Great Crossing will be on the road next week at North Oldham before returning home to host Henry Clay on Labor Day weekend, Friday night. We'll be here for that one. We'll have Scott County hosting Lafayette next Friday night here on the network beginning at 7:30. All home games. Don't go anywhere else. Come right here to newsgraphic.com for the audio or NFHS Network for the stream. We'll mention a few more of those sponsors that make it possible. Scott County Veterinary Clinic. They love your pets like their own. Come join the SC Veterinary Clinic family. Brett Halverson, your go-to Georgetown Scott County Realtor. Steve Skierman, Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance, ready to meet all your insurance needs. Burger King, home of the Whopper, and Domino's Pizza. Check out that big 2-story location, the corner of Champion Way in US 25.
And we talked about it at the, pretty early about the heat and not having a lot of subs, and you can see that that's starting to.
Yeah, you just look at the sheer number
Yes.
of green jerseys down here in front of us and then the lack thereof on the white side of the stadium.
Yeah, you had the young man who went out with the.
You're already down
head
one
injury
there.
And seen a couple more limp
I
off.
see a couple of guys over there that without any, they're in street clothes. They got the top on,
Right.
but nothing else. First and goal from the 6 when we get back underway. As Braden Flynn got some help off the field. Nichols with Patterson behind him. Little flip.
Nice
Faked the
fake.
flip to the
Nice
man
fake.
in motion and went the other way, keeping it.
And that was
Gabe Nichols.
the exact same play they ran on the touchdown before, where they had faked, the receiver coming through, then gave it to the back. That time Nichols fakes it to the receiver, then again fakes it to the back and takes it. That was a nice play right there.
Well designed. Number 41, Jacob Johnson, was in motion, kind of faked a little shuffle pass, kept it himself to the left side.
Yeah.
Found the end zone. Jack Harold to kick it. Ball down, kick up, veered right again. They got to work on that as some opening night jitters in the kicking game. 19-7 your score, 8:53 to play here in the second quarter.
It'd be interesting to know how much freedom they're giving Nichols, if that's called ahead of time, all right, this time I want you to keep it, or if it's more of just a quarterback read. You see that with UK a lot, where Levis is reading it, and then he'll pull and take it. So wonder how much, with Nichols being a senior and played so many snaps, I'd almost be willing to bet that there are times where Coach Bowling says, okay, we're going to let you, you read this. If you like it, keep it. If you see a hole, give it. Whatever the case may be.
They've got some options with this team and this offense.
They do.
I think Great Crossing is going to keep a lot of teams guessing. (19-7) your score. It's been all Great Crossing since the opening play where Western Hills went 65 yards to pay dirt. Kickoff fielded by Micah Cleveland.
Ooh.
And swarmed is the freshman there. Coming in, Rylan Dykes.
Man, that was
among others.
An awkward hit right there.
Yeah,
You can see
he
him
is also
struggling.
struggling to stay on his feet.
It wasn't cheap. He was going down already when the kid came in, and it just happened to get his neck a little twisted.
He is walking gingerly to that side. I don't know if he's going off the field or just going to be split out as a receiver here. Guess he's headed to the sideline. Western Hills has been going backward ever since that opening play. And they'll try it again from their own 22. Graves fakes the handoff, and he is smacked down by Zach Morris. Second sack of the evening.
And that's an excellent play by the linebacker. I mean,
He didn't fall for the fake.
He did not go for that whatsoever. And it was sort of a rollout by Graves, and he just met him right about the time he got on the outside of that tackle. And good form tackle right there.
Another minus 10. Gosh, they gained 65 yards in that first play. They may be headed back towards zero with all these minuses. Second and 20. Garrison Graves, the sophomore quarterback, has been under duress. He'll hand it off on the sweep to Zarian Cleveland.
Another play by.
Nothing doing
Morris.
There as once again Morris is not fooled. Zach Morris has had himself a night at the linebacker position.
Yeah, he really has.
I of course mentioned Lukatsko and Allen, but Morris is another one that's ready for a breakout year as a junior. 3rd and 19, so they gave him. No, they didn't really gain a yard. They actually pushed him back a yard. It's at the 11. It's 3rd and 21 is actually what it should say on the scoreboard. Graves is going to get sacked again. This time it's Fisher. Orion with his first sack of the season, the UK and Louisville target, and expects to make a decision shortly. He's got some other schools jockeying for position there as well.
Yeah. And that was so reminiscent of Josh Allen. Not only does he have that, he's in that mold, but he got around so quick of the left tackle that he had to come back to make the sack. But when you're that quick, you saw that a lot of times out of Josh in his UK career.
He is that prototype. If they can get some meat on his bones in college, he's going to be special. He's already special here at the high school level. They do get their best punt of the evening, but Bird had a lot of room if he hadn't muffed it, but now he's still got a lot of room on the left side. Picks it up inside the 20. He will take it to the house. Did they say he stepped out? Touchdown.
Oh, okay, got it.
40-yard return for Drake Bird. He's had himself an interesting half as well.
And you called it, Cal. I mean, he dropped it. He had to turn around, pick it up, and he still just had.
It's almost like Western Hills let up after that.
Yeah. I wonder if thought they might go for 2 with all the troubles they've had.
They want to get it right, I think. But don't you just hate it if you're Western Hills, you finally kick the ball, you finally get the ball in the air, kick yourselves a spiral, and they run it back 43 yards. Caden Bays, the holder for Jack Harold. He'll split the uprights this time. 26-7 is your score with 6:12 remaining in the first half. Four touchdowns by 4 different Warhawks. A couple of long runs, a quarterback keeper, and now special teams touchdown. Drake Bird, not the first time he's done that in his career. Probably won't be the last either, as he's prime for a productive senior year.
The old saying, Cal, goes that the most improvement is made from game 1 to game 2. I think we're seeing it from quarter one to quarter two. Because they just look like a completely different team. And I do think a lot of that has to do with Western Hills is just already beat up.
Yeah, you got to tip your hat to Western Hills.
You
They came out and punched them in the mouth, but all that did was make Great Crossing angry. And since then, it's been all Warhawks.
Yeah.
Certainly a mismatch on paper, and it is playing out that way on the turf. The way this is going, if you're Great Crossing, you almost got a chance to get this to a running clock before halftime if you continue scoring at this pace. Throw in a 2-point conversion for good measure. And on a doubleheader night, that wouldn't break our hearts as we have Scott County and Franklin County to kick off probably no earlier than 8:30 and more likely 9 o'clock. Good deep kick by Harold taken at the 10. Had some momentum going on the run back, but Malachi Young was there to shut it off and pull him out of bounds at the 24. So the Wolverines will go back to work there with 6:06 remaining in the second quarter.
And there's still some fight out there with Western Hills. Robert Jacobs just made an incredible block on that kickoff. You could see he was a little hyped up about it.
As a coach, this is when you find out a lot about
That's
your
right.
team.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you.
They've delivered the Powerade. I'm a new man. First down at the 24 of Western Hills, Garrison Graves. He'll be sore in the morning. He's been sacked at least 3 times. Ryan Fisher, Zach Morris with a couple. Positive yardage there on the handoff, but not much before the convergence of green jerseys.
Well,
including Logan Clayton.
And this is where it's so tough for Coach Miller because as a coach, if you're down right now and all the fans are screaming, throw it, throw it, throw it, but anytime you drop back to throw it, your quarterback's getting crushed,
teed off.
And it also is one of those deals where you're thinking, let's just get to halftime and regroup.
Yeah. Live to fight another day. There is another run. Clayton will stand it up. Strayer is in there as well.
Is that Morris?
Some others. Morris has been in on so many tackles.
An early candidate for player of the
Your
game.
Defensive player of the game, at the very least. Lawrence Stroh in there again. He had a sack earlier, so I take it back. It's now at least 4 sacks that Graves has been the victim of. So, yeah, I would keep running the ball too. And they've gained some here. It's 3rd and 5 at the 29. Graves will maybe change the play at the line here. Going with the hard count. Now a timeout.
Yeah.
Trying to get a cheap first down there as they haven't been able to get one since 16 seconds into the game.
Crossing Athletics would like to thank some of their sponsors. Bluegrass Orthopedics, serving athletes of all ages. Georgetown News Graphics, Scott County's 24/7 news source. On Main Street.
Yeah, they were, and I also think that was part of Coach Miller just saying, let me let as much time bleed off the clock. And then
you got to manage the game if you're in his situation.
Call a play. But, we've said it before. Graves has a nice arm. Love to see maybe
doesn't have time to show it off.
If you could just get a 1, 2, 3, quick down and out right here. I mean, they had the one kid wide open at one time.
By the time he counts to 2 Mississippi, he's getting
tough and
knocked down.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Your hometown paint and flooring collection. Scott County Veterinarian
I'm impressed with the sheer number of guys on the Great Crossing defense that have stepped up early in this game.
Yeah.
They've got some depth on this. There's guys that were not on the top line on the depth chart that I was given before the game. They've done some nice things. Lawrence Stroh, Logan Clayton.
Yeah.
Josh Strayer. Third and 5. In motion is Cleveland.
Quick hitter.
They're going to hand it off
Not much.
again, and nothing doing is right there is number 42, Strayer.
Well, and you've been talking about him as well. I mean, it's just been an active front seven.
Strayer's a wrestler. He's got those quick moves.
Strong. He's strong.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Take you down. Doesn't miss many tackles.
Yeah. And I'm surprised. I actually thought Bird might creep up a little bit because it's kind of been just a quick.
Low snap. Got the punt away to Bird with a running start at midfield. He's inside the 40, the 35, the 30.
Oh.
Is he going to go back to back? Nope, because there's going to be a flag to wipe it out.
And they didn't need to do it.
Nope,
is the
he
thing.
was
He was
gone.
gone. The flag was kind of behind the play. And those are the things on film that Coach Bowling will point out. Look, he's 7 yards ahead of you. Why are you committing this penalty when that player was not even going to be a thought? And I'm sure Bird will have something to say about it too, because you just took away a touchdown for him.
Yep. This one wiped out by a block he didn't need.
It's going to be a holding call, 10-yard penalty for the point of infraction.
So wherever they threw the flag, they'll back it up 10. It's going to end up around the 40, I think, wiping out some of the return. He got 20 yards before that. They'll put it down at the Western Hills 41. Great Crossing will have 341 to add to this lead, at least once, perhaps. Gabe Nichols at quarterback. Patterson goes in motion. Nichols will dump it the other way to Kelly. Kelly spins to the 40. He gets taken down there
By his own man.
And then Camden Davis came in and finished the job for Western Hills. 2nd and 7.
Still haven't seen that. I'd like to see him, that down and in and maybe put a foot in the dirt, take it to the flag. Because he is yet to really show off that arm that we know he's got.
Got it. They've just done the
just the quick hitters all night
save
long.
high percentage stuff.
And I don't know, maybe he's just trying to keep it vanilla, but
don't show any more than you have to, I guess.
Right.
There's
Oh,
Nichols
there it
going
is.
deep. Wide open is number 40, Bryce Hammond.
that's a nice scheme. The outside receiver did exactly what he's been doing. He looked at him. Tight end gets away, and he's wide open. And that's a beautiful ball. That's where, sometimes as a quarterback, he's so open that but he let it fly. We saw a lot of that last year.
Gabe Nichols, he ran for one earlier. Now he throws one. 32-7 pending the extra point. I think they will go for 2 here.
Yep.
Nichols will throw it, and going up and getting it. Did he get his
Oh,
feet
my
down?
goodness.
Nope, they're saying incomplete. DJ Blunt trying to make the circus catch over there.
And I'm about 100 yards away, but I tell you what,
the effort was admirable.
That surprises me.
So 32-7 is where we're at. 32 unanswered points with 2:48 remaining here in the first half of game one at the BGO Battle of Elkhorn Creek. Of course, Scott County and Franklin County to follow. Next week, Scott County will be here against Lafayette. We'll have that one 7:30 next Friday night on the network, newsgraphic.com, and the NFHS network. Great crossing to North Oldham before returning home to face Henry Clay. Scott County will have its bye week in week 3. Scott County's schedule, we'll get into it later, but it is brutal again. The good news for them is to get all those tough teams at home this year.
They got another Ohio opponent on there?
No, but I think they substituted Lexcath for them, so that was where that came into play. But you got Lexington Catholic coming here, Douglas, of course, Ballard, Bryan Station. They go to Dunbar.
Oh.
Bird on the little squib kick, catches it on the fly. He gets knocked down. Hopefully he's okay. Drake Bird has had himself a special teams game to remember. And now we've got a flag. What's this for? They're going to call a penalty and say it's an illegal touch. Yeah. Not sure what this call is all about.
I mean, the ball was clearly 10 yards past the
Oh, yeah.
And nobody
it was a
in the
late
area.
flag. It was like he had to think about it. I don't know if it's a sideline issue or.
I mean, I don't know how they could say he was even. It'd be one thing if he like jumped in front of the guy or something, but the guy was.
They're making the interference signal, so they're gonna have to kick it again. I mean, I would just try it again all night long. They've been this close to pulling that off. They've tried it in different ways. They've put it on the ground. That one, they just kind of floated it in the air, and he ran under it.
Well, and I'm like you, though. I mean, that flag dropped 20 seconds after the play was over.
It was a late one. They'd been celebrating for several seconds, and oh, here comes the flag. You kick it off from the 25. I mean, did somebody make a fair catch signal over there?
There wasn't anybody in the area. I don't know how they could make that call.
It's been a strange half. It's 32-7. It feels like it could be 56-7. Great crossing, well on its way to being 3-0 all time against Western Hills, and I got to figure that series won't last very long at that pace. They may elect not to play it. Harold will kick it deep, taken at the 25. Good coverage there as a swarm comes down on him after he crossed the 35. Malachi Young was there. Dylan Lay as well.
And I wonder if, I don't think he will, but I wonder if Coach Bowling tries to get the ball back here or if he just lets time run out. I mean, you got to feel like the way their defense is dominated. But my point is he going to call timeout as soon as they get a stop right here on first down, or is he just going to say, we'll take it?
I don't think there's going to be any great sense of urgency. They may get the ball back anyway.
Yeah, they might.
And they're going to throw it on first down, and that'll help as it's incomplete.
Yeah.
Clock will stop at 2:36. So even if they run it twice, they'll get the ball back. 2nd and 10 from the 37. Garrison Graves under duress all night, hands off to Youngblood, Jaden Youngblood, who has the Western Hills touchdown. Seems like a week ago it was on the first play of the game.
Yeah.
3rd and 8 as he gained 2. The clock will tick down to around the 2-minute mark, maybe inside the 2-minute mark before they snap it. Ray Crossing, if they get a stop here, likely to get the ball back. It's just a matter of how much time. Graves avoids the sack, underthrows it. Malachi Young goes up and almost picks it off. It's incomplete. Clock will stop at 1:52, and they will have plenty of time to put together another drive here.
And I tell you, he's disappointed in himself for not catching that, but that was outstanding coverage. I mean, he was with him step for step.
Blanket coverage. You know, and he's listed at 5'8", 153, so he had a long way to go to get that. Another of those wrestlers, that's a program that has grown by leaps and bounds here at Great Crossing, and it always, I think, feeds into your football program if you can do it right. Youngblood will shank it.
I think just the way he was, I think that was more or less don't kick it to Bird, but that was a little over-exaggerated.
They'd seen enough of Mr. Drake Bird tonight.
Because he almost looked at us directly and said, okay, here you go.
Drake Bird, one run back for a touchdown, another that woulda, shoulda, coulda been. He also, a big hit on special teams that unfortunately knocked a senior from Western Hills out of the game. So he's had a busy first half on special teams.
We'll see how the Warhawks elect to
52 yards from the end zone with 107 seconds to get there. Nichols will roll to his right. A little bit of a hold, I think, there they got away with, and Nichols will scramble close to the marker. He's down
he's running the
at
clock,
the 43. It'll be 2nd and 1. You don't have to panic here. You've got plenty of time if you're GC. Plus, you know you've got those playmakers on the perimeter.
Yeah.
You can always just fire it up. Worst that can happen is it falls incomplete and stops the clock. They've got Blunt and Kelly out to the right. In fact, they've got Trips right, nobody to the left. They will dump it there, and it's dropped.
That's loose. Yep.
Picked it up off the ground. They didn't whistle it dead. Now they're looking at each other, the officials. Incomplete. I thought it hit the turf too, and I didn't think it was a lateral. So
really, I thought it was. That's why I was. I thought he was.
I thought it was consistent. I thought it was consistent with the one they didn't call earlier. They are dangerously close, and you got to watch that if you're Great Crossing, because eventually you're going to get burned by it. Third and a yard.
Yeah, that was
56 seconds. Now we've got a timeout, Warhawks. They'll talk it over. They get 43 yards to go to reach the end zone here before the half.
And I'm sure Coach Bowling not happy there because the clock had stopped. You don't want to waste a timeout when the clock stops. But it just seemed like they were so discombobulated that they weren't sure what play they were running. Zachary Kelly kind of looked at him like.
A little bit of confusion that you might see in week 1 that you won't see in week 2, week 3, week 10. Think about it. They basically reported to camp on July 10th. So, and then they've had 2 scrimmages, a couple of good scrimmages, quality ones if you're Great Crossing. They played North Hardin and Madison Central, 2 of the better teams in 6A.
Yeah,
Central got to the state semis and had St. X on the ropes last year when they got there. And North Hardin, we know they've generated some D1 talent here in recent years.
You can now order all your fresh food online. Pick them up.
3rd and 1. Nichols
And place your first order at Kroger.com/hotel.
fakes the handoff and throws it through the fingers of number 3, Jarius Patterson. So it'll be 4th and short. Now what do you do?
Well, looks like they're punting.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that as well. But Nichols is begging them to go for it, and they're not going to do it.
Don't want to give Western Hills any semblance of momentum here, I guess. You back them up, and they'll probably just kneel on it. Jesse Fair in punt formation. Good kick, takes a great crossing roll inside the 10 to the 5, down at the 1. Beautiful. Just the way you draw it up if you're the Warhawks.
Well, now you can't knee it or you're going to get a safety. So,
Guess who was there? Drake Bird.
Yeah.
Also Isaiah Johnson. 40.2 seconds, and yeah, you're in a spot now if you're Western Hills. That is the one line, as Chris Berman used to say.
Yeah, that's
you're not even close to the 1.
Yeah.
About half of Western Hills plays tonight have gone backwards, so there's a good chance this is not going to end well for them.
I don't know what Don Miller's.
Yeah, there's a long.
He is all the way down.
He's
I mean,
way outside the box.
I guess he figures like if I get a penalty,
what are they going to do?
Put it an inch. But
quarterback sneak, which is really all you can do there. Graves will lean forward to about the 3, so he did a good job.
Yeah,
now he might be able to kneel on it. Still has to be careful, but
well, he doesn't have to.
Actually, he doesn't have
Great
to. As long as Great Crossing doesn't call a timeout,
right. So,
I think they're content to just let it roll. It'll be a halftime score of Great Crossing 32, Western Hills 7. Great Crossing fans appreciative of the effort that they saw in the first half from the Hawks. Give you the scoring summary and then maybe talk a little bit about what we can expect in game 2 tonight. They flipped the starting times this year, so certainly the main event feeling of that game is Scott County definitely primed for revenge, and Franklin County looking to show that last year was no surprise to them, as they have made 2 deep runs here in the Class 4A playoffs and are hoping for another one. A lot of talent on that side. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Also have the band here to entertain us.
Once again, please welcome to the field the 2022 Great Crossing.
We started off great stuff from Western Hills on the first play from scrimmage. Big hole, and Jaden Youngblood ran through it for a 65-yard touchdown. Kick made it 7-0 with 11:46 to play in the opening quarter. Great Crossing apparently ran the ensuing kickback for a touchdown. That was wiped out by a holding call. Western Hills then stopped Great Crossing on downs, but a backward punt put Great Crossing in business, and Isaiah Johnson cashed in with a 31-yard touchdown run. Kick by Jack Harold was good, and we had a tie score of 7-7 with 5:23 remaining in the first quarter. Tyrus Cobbins then recovered a bad snap on a punt to give Great Crossing the ball at the 16. A couple of penalties and a bad snap pushed Great Crossing back there, and they missed a field goal. So it stayed 7-7 at the end of the first quarter. It's been all Great Crossing ever since then. 25 unanswered points in the second quarter, 32 unanswered points in all. Jaquise Patterson started it off with an 11-yard run after another special teams disaster for Hills. PAT wide right, 13-7 at the 11:39 mark, gave Nichols then a 5-yard keeper to make it 19-7. Drake Bird, what a night he's had, ran it back 43 yards to the house to make it 26-7 on a punt return with 6:12 remaining in the second quarter. Would have been back-to-back returns for Bird, except that one was wiped out by a block that he really didn't need. Bryce Hammond with a 38-yard pass from Nichols for the score of 32-7. Total yards, okay, here's the deal for Western Hills. They've run 25 plays for 26 yards. That means they have been minus 39 since the opening play of the game. That's hard to do. I don't even know what to make of that. That's all the product of the sacks. Where's the list here? There were at least 3. I think I counted 4. Ryan Fisher was in on 1.5. They credited Morris with 1. He had 2 tackles for loss. Nichols 7 for 11 through the air, 81 yards, the touchdown. Graves 1 for 6 through the air for 4 yards. The running game, Johnson had the 31-yard touchdown. He's 2 for 44. Jaquise Patterson, 4 for 25. DJ Blunt and Zachary Kelly each with 3 catches, and of course the touchdown catch from Hammond. Leading tacklers, Fisher with 6, Morris with 4, Shaddix and Clayton with 3 each for Great Crossing. Great Crossing's total yardage 138, so 138-26. First downs are 6-1. Penalties might be one of the few bad marks in the column for Great Crossing. They've been flagged 4 times for 40 yards. Their only punt covered 56 yards. And we mentioned the misadventures in the punt game for Western Hills, 5 for an average of 14.8. That included a minus.
Well, and one of those penalties was a mystery on that kickoff when they had it recovered. I'm still baffled by that.
They called fair catch interference, which that's a mystery. Good to see Steve McLean here. We'll get our Scott County stats in a timely manner as well. Looking forward to that. That's going to be a good one, Scotty. As we said, Sam Sutton will be here for that one to join me, and we're looking forward to that game. I think if you're Scott County, and I talked to Jim McKee last week, and he's just like, you just got to play better. Win or lose, we just got to make a better showing and a better effort than last year.
Yeah. Well, like we said, first of all, you were talking about a team in Franklin County that had just come off a state championship loss and had a lot of talent coming back, which they will this year as well. But 2 years ago, they come off that state championship loss, and a lot of talent. Scott County's super senior, who was going to run the Wildcat for him, goes down on, I believe it was the second play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Might
have even been the first.
It might have been. And, and I'm sure that Scott County's coaching staff will be the first to tell you, hey, that's no excuse because they whipped us.
Yep.
But, you got to think that they drilled that into their heads the last 2 weeks. You got embarrassed last year on the opening night.
There wasn't a lot of need for extra motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a freshman quarterback last year. He took over, did Andrew Hickey, and made tremendous strides throughout the year. I mean, Coach McKee's been high on him. Clay McKee is back in the fold this year as quarterback coach, passing game coordinator. I think we might see a little bit more of the ball in the air if the opportunity presents itself for the Cards. And just when you think you've got that offense figured out after all these years, they've got some weapons that they might be able to utilize.
Yeah. But it's hard to, when you've been doing the same thing so well for so
Mhm.
long, it's hard to change up. But we'll see.
Franklin County, of course, led by that prototype big back that UK loves, Caden Moorman.
Yep.
He will be a future Wildcat, and I know McKee raves about him, just his potential at the next level and maybe even beyond. And his first carry last year went to the house, and that was pretty much when the game went downhill. You mentioned the injury to Martin, and that sort of just sent the snowball rolling downhill even quicker.
Yeah. Well,
They've got some big boys.
They do,
and some talent.
They came out ready to play last year, and I remember saying after that game, I thought they would win the state title.
They went on a slump after that. They lost 3 out of 4. And they have a tough schedule too. They play in the same district as Louisville Central, I believe.
Yeah, and ended up losing. Was it the semis or was it the quarterfinals?
I almost think they got to the. Did they get to the semis last year? I think they made a run.
They got beat in the semis down in the mountains somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. They got to state 2 years ago, of course, and it was settled on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. I'd have to go back and look. That does ring a bell when you say down in the mountains.
Yeah, I wanted to say Johnson Central, but I could be wrong.
Might have even been Corbin.
Yep, could have been.
I think they even played them during the season. They might have played them twice, now that I think about it.
Be pulling it up. That's exactly what I was getting ready to
Giving it a shot here as we avail ourselves of the technology. Going back to 2021 for the Franklin County Flyers. They lost to Johnson Central. You're right with John, and that was in the semifinals. They beat North Oldham, Central, and Allen Scottsville. They had a tough one with Central, 14-8 to avenge. No, they didn't avenge. They actually backed up a regular season win. But their losses last year in succession were to Corbin, Ballard, and Woodford counties. You want to talk about a schedule. There's a schedule right there.
Yeah, Woodford County had a terrific year.
They got all the way to the state semis as well before bowing out.
And anytime you got to go play at Johnson, so I don't care what sport it is.
They were very much, obviously, that whole season dedicated to the memory of Coach Jim Matney. And he obviously had an axe to grind. Going to be a lot of teams in the mountains playing for a little extra this fall with all that's gone on down that way. And we certainly send our best wishes, prayers, thoughts, and as much help as we possibly can in that direction. It's been quite a rough 12-month span as far as the weather here in the great state, the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
I was in the process of cleaning up and getting a lot of stuff out of our cage, old uniforms, old equipment, and that happened. And I said, you know what? This is where it's going. And we sent everything we had down there.
They need it at this point. There's a lot of athletic facilities that have gyms that have been permanently damaged, fields and the like, and helmets that have been lost, and you name it. Combined band performance from the two green schools, Western Hills and Great Crossing. Yeah, it just brings back the memories of the days when the Scott County band just covered the entire field when they were one high school.
I'm sure it was over 200 kids.
Over at Toyota Stadium. It was pretty close to that, I think.
For some reason, 223 sticks in my mind one year.
About right.
So. Will be interesting to see how the Mormon kid plays, though. You know, sometimes that's a lot of pressure when you've already committed to a big university. And
he's in recruiting mode right now. He was putting in the word trying to get Orion Fisher to commit last Saturday at Media Day.
Yeah.
He was he's out there trying to put things together.
Now, the last I checked, you would know better than me, but I was thinking West Virginia was leading that. Is that no longer the case?
They're also in the running. That wouldn't be. I mean, that's obviously a good solid program as well.
Well,
So
Neil Brown knows this area well, so
not too far from home.
Yeah, it's a guy who
Yeah,
won some football games at Boyle County as a
I was
player.
going to say he's going to dip into the Kentucky recruiting pool as he's able.
There's a lot of rumors that he was going to get that Louisville job before Satterfield
Yeah.
did.
And then some people that were wishing he had, I think. But I don't know. Satterfield's had an interesting recruiting year.
He has.
And
But December is a long ways away.
Yes, it is. Yeah, they've certainly benefited from the name, image, likeness a little bit over there at Louisville. We'll see how it translates.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to talk to some friends of mine who are Louisville fans, and it's kind of split between, well, we want Satterfield to stay so we can get this recruiting class, and the others are like, yeah,
I
just
really
get
don't
him
want
out of
to
here.
Yeah, all gets forgiven if you win.
That's right.
So
That's right.
if you can have a decent year. Of course, no matter our allegiances, we all have a place in our heart for Louisville center Brian Hudson.
That's
He'll
right.
be taking over at that position this year after kind of being the Swiss Army knife of the offensive line last year.
Just a terrific kid.
And
his whole family. Just
he's
good
the
people.
He's the real deal, and he's got 2 years of eligibility left, of course, with the COVID year.
I remember when he decided to transfer from Virginia Tech, Sam was all over him. Please go to UK.
A lot of us were hopeful to have him as close to home as possible, but not too bad. Now we're down the road for people that want to go check him out.
Yeah.
He's going to do great things this year.
And I tell you, they do have a ton of seniors on that team.
Yeah.
So
you win with seniors in this game.
You sure do.
A lot at the high school and college levels.
And you get a super senior in Cunningham coming back, so can only help.
And we'll see about UK. Of course, high hopes and expectations, right?
No doubt. It's
preseason number 20, and of course, if you come off the success they've had in the SEC, you're going to be ranked. You should be ranked in the preseason.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 10-win seasons in the last 4 years. That'll get people's attention.
4 consecutive bowl wins. Good quality bowl wins, too.
Yeah, no doubt.
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day kind of bowls.
Yeah, I mean, 2 ACC and 2 Big Ten teams. That's nothing to sniff at.
Going to be a fun high school season as well. Again, we'll have all the home games. You can find the schedules at khsaa.org. But, of course, we'll update you on what we're going to have for you throughout the season. Scott County seemed like they played a lot of the games I wanted to see last year on the road and couldn't get to it. That the converse of that is they flip it and they're at home this year. They got Lafayette and Bryan Station after this, so they don't go on the road until September 16th when they play Dunbar. And they'll be home again for 2 more, first against Douglas and then the Battle of the Birds on September 30th. Those games will have a lot to say about the seeding in the district. They go on the road for what should be a couple of breathers on the schedule against Grant and Montgomery counties, and then back home to take on a couple more toughies in Ballard and Lexington Catholic. Great Crossing. You mentioned they go to North Oldham next week, then back to host Henry Clay. They travel to East Jessamine on the 9th of September. Then it's back home to host Bourbon County on the 16th. Bye week the 23rd before the Scott County game. Then they go to Montgomery County on October 7th, host Douglas on the 14th. Thursday night home game. Both teams are home the weekend of the 20th and 21st. So Great Crossing will play Grant County on a Thursday and then go to Martha Lane Collins for the regular season finale. Playoffs will be different this year as it's not going to be that you're not bound to play your district teams in the first 2 rounds. So I believe, depending on how RPI shakes out, Scott County certainly hopes its strength of schedule will play into that. And if they can win those games that were close losses last year, they might not have to deal with Douglas until even a state final, which would be
Right.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Because that's been the rub the past, it's been 4 consecutive years now. They've had to play them in the second round of the playoffs. Of course, 2018. Actually, I think it's 5 consecutive years. 2018, they pulled off that memorable win, but since then, it's been a Douglas-dominated situation. No shortage of D1 players for the Broncos this year as well. I guess their question right now is probably at the quarterback position, but of course, again, they've got a couple of transfers, so they'll have that squared away as well.
Right. Well, as we mentioned, it's a long year. You don't know who's going to get injured.
It's high school football, right?
Yeah.
I mean, any number of things can happen, and you just let it play out. The sun is bright and right in our eyes here at Birds Nest Stadium as we get ready to start the second half, about a minute away. Do love that about this part of the world. Even get late into summer, the daylight hours last until 9 o'clock or so. Nice. Beautiful night for football. It should cool off substantially for the Scott County Franklin County game, which definitely won't kick off before 9. Even if we get into a running clock situation, this one's not going to end much before 8:30. We'll take a break between games as I go do some newspaper stuff and interview some great crossing coaches and players. But never fear, we'll be back with you on the other side for Scott County, Franklin County. We thank you for joining us at newsgraphic.com. Remind you that we publish Tuesdays and Fridays. Remind you that we are online 24/7. Remind you that I'll go home and write up a couple of game stories, and you can read them with your morning coffee tomorrow. And look forward to another 15 weeks of this, hopefully. It's a great part about you get football, runs right into basketball. It's going to be a fun basketball season as well. It's going to be a fun 2022/23-23 season here in the county. A lot of changes, a lot of coaching changes here happened over the summer in some various sports. High school sports, as you know, Scotty, is always in a state of flux.
It is.
It's tough. It's a tough time
It absolutely
to keep coaches, to keep officials. I covered a soccer game the other night that had 2 officials. First time I've seen that in Kentucky since I moved here. I'd seen it elsewhere, but it's alarming when you see it here.
We have had in all of our games only once have we had 3 officials. Every other game has been 2. So talked to Majid the other day, and he said, if you've got to make up a game on a Tuesday or a Thursday, don't even call me.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of scenarios that I haven't seen in the past. Great Crossing has a game against Frankfort, kind of a rivalry district game, and they're playing it on a Saturday night. And I'm like, why are you doing that? I'm like, never mind. I know the answer.
You know the answer, yeah.
It's limitations right now. Western Hills will kick it off. Their kicking game, especially on the punting side of things, has been suspect. And the coverage as well, as Drake Bird returned one for a touchdown and should have had at least one more. And probably should have recovered an onside kick that we're still scratching our heads about. That's a squibber. Taken on the fly, past midfield. And going the distance is Clayton Shaddix. No flags.
I didn't think he was going to be able to stay in bounds, but referee was right there looking at it and tight roped that sideline.
Thing of beauty. Squibber run back 55 yards for the score.
And my guess is that the Great Crossing coaching staff said, look, they've already proved they don't want to kick it to Bird. So if you're an up guy, be ready, because he attacked that with.
On the fly and
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
let up.
That's an outstanding play.
Bird holds for Harold. The kick is good. 39-7.
With 11 minutes and 50 seconds in the third quarter, your score, Western Hills 7.
So we're one score away from running time. 39 unanswered points. Last year's game, Western Hills couldn't get anything more than a safety. Tonight, they scored immediately on the first play, and since then, it has been all Great Crossing in all phases. Special teams has now produced a pair of touchdowns.
Yeah. And should have had a third.
Yes. Gabe Nichols, quarterback, has rushed for one and passed for another. Jaquise Patterson and Isaiah Johnson have each run for a long score. Jack Harold has been a busy man. He'll kick it away. And he'll kick it deep inside the 10. And not getting past the 20 is Micah Cleveland before he runs into Pilot Lacosco.
Yeah, Lacosco, that was an outstanding play. And again, Zach Moore's down there, that guy. I heard you say 4 tackles. I'm thinking,
It's
man,
more than that.
yeah.
We've seen him make more than that.
called
Tackle
his
stats are always hard. There's such a swarm in high school, especially. You get so many guys around the ball. It's hard to track unless you're going back and watching the film. Ball is marked at the Western Hills 21, where it'll be 1st and 10 Wolverines. They have averaged a yard per play tonight, and that includes a 65-yard run. That's hard to do. And off to that man, Youngblood, and he will go nowhere. In fact, he might lose a half a yard.
I think that was our guy again.
Is that Morris? No, it's Fisher.
No,
it's
Morris.
not Fisher. Who's 33? 33 comes off the bottom of the pile, too. Luca Johnson. Second long for the Wolverines. 11-15 and rolling here in the third quarter. Inside handoff to the man in motion coming at us. Good pursuit by the Warhawks to throw it for a loss. Trying to see when we turn around here. Clay Spradlin was the man with the pursuit, number 50, to get the he had some help, but he dragged the tackler down from behind for a loss of 3.5 more. It'll be 3rd and 14. Western Hills continuing to go backwards. Franklin County fans starting to file in across the way. Good crowd on the other side. Here's going to be the 5th sack of the game for the Warhawk defense. Spradlin was in there along with, once again, number 33, Johnson.
And, right there, Cal, they tried to run that, pump and go, but when it's 3rd and forever, they're not going to bite on that.
Buying
and
a bit of it. No.
And then, he's just getting swarmed. So
once again, punting from his own end zone is Jaden Youngblood.
We'll see if he tries to split the difference between
do you kick
way
to
over
Bird?
Here or to Bird, yeah. Because Bird has been dynamite so far.
He's going to try to bounce it
And he did.
that way. Bird will take it on a hop just on the other side of the 45. Lots of room this way. 30, 20. A block there by Malachi Young gets him inside the 10, and that's where he'll be dragged down by Camden Davis. It'll be first and goal. Chance to send this to running time. Isaiah Johnson sweeps to the right, gets a block, and tiptoes into the end zone. Nice block there from Dylan Lay to set him free.
Yeah, just take.
They're going to wipe it out.
Are they? Yeah,
I didn't know if the block was maybe from the back or they're talking about it. No, it's a sideline situation. Sideline warning, Western Hills.
Touchdown.
So the touchdown will stand. It's an 8-yard TD run, his second of the night, Isaiah Johnson.
The extra point, number 90, Jack Farrell. The holder, number 14, Caden Bays. Kick is up. And it's good.
46-7 after the good PAT, and the final 21 minutes and 10 seconds of this game will be a continuous clock.
Yep. I tell you, Britton Franklin almost got a hand on that. That kid is.
You got to give him a call. He has been the MVP tonight for Western Hills.
Everything he's got for one of only 4 seniors. We talked about one of them. Unfortunately, was hurt in
now
the
they have
first
3.
half. Yeah, and he.
And another one kind of limped off.
Yep.
So,
but he is just giving everything he's got. When you're playing both sides of the ball in the trenches.
It's a lot to ask.
One thing to do it as a DB and a receiver, but when you're playing guard and on the offensive end,
and you're not a small guy, and it's hot.
It's tough.
46-7. Great Crossing will start 1-0 again at the expense of Western Hills. 8-3 a year ago. Only losses to Douglas once and Scott County twice. A couple of close games in the rivalry.
From this point forward, there will be a running clock.
Busy night for Jack Harold continues. He'll squib it up the middle of the field, picked up at the 20. Not a lot there. Just across the 25 before it's brought to rest. Malachi Young, he's had a good night on special teams. Makes the stop.
Well, I was going to see if they were going to send some young guys in the game. It looks like they are.
They've rotated in quite a few
they have
tonight.
But I don't see Fisher.
I don't see a lot to be
Morris
gained by having those guys
know.
out there, Drake Bird, etc. There's a little swing pass that's going to gain some yardage for Youngblood.
He's got
finally
some
dragged down by Lacosco, who is still out there as a starter and comes up kind of lame, and that's what you don't want.
And now they're like, get out. Hope he's all right. He's coming over here on the sideline. Maybe just a cramp.
Yeah, I was going to say, you hope it's just a cramp.
Yeah.
He's kind of stretching like it is. I'm bringing him some water more than anything else. So seems to be the case. 2nd and 9 after, actually it's 2nd and 5. I don't know what the scoreboard is looking at. Might get ourselves a first down here for Western Hills. They're about a yard short on the run up the middle. Bryce Williams on the carry. Up to the 37, 3rd and 1. Western Hills taking its time. Why not? They will get the first down. Up to the 40.
Nice tackle by Ryland Dykes.
He's another guy that's gotten some quality time tonight. He's alternated with Malachi Young at the Hawk position. Graves going to get sacked again for at least the 6th time tonight. Coming up off the bottom of the pile is number 49, Lawrence Stroh. He's been in on a couple of those. I think he's cramping up too. Either that or doing a sack.
I thought he
dance.
was doing a dance.
I'm not sure what that was, to be honest with you. He's moving fine, so that might have been a little Mark Gastineau. Second and long. Graves will just get rid of it as he had a jailbreak coming at him. So it'll be 3rd and 18. Clock won't stop for the incomplete pass or anything else from this point forward. 39-point lead for the Warhawks. Would guess still about a 9 o'clock approximate starting time for the Scott County game, maybe a tad earlier. So don't go too far away from your set or your computer. Should be a good one as one of the top teams in 4A takes on one of the top teams in 5A.
Yeah, and just as we talked, you can start to see this.
Sack number 7 for the Warhawks, coming in
our man
untouched. Zach Morris.
That guy has been a machine tonight. Sort of surprised he's still in there, but
he is making his presence felt.
Yeah.
Only a junior catcher on the baseball team. And he's catching himself some tackles for loss tonight here at the linebacker position. 4th and an eternity.
different guy back. Who do we got back here, Cal?
We got a new punt returner.
Yep.
Let's see what someone other than Drake Bird can do. It's number 41. Is Mr. Jacob Johnson.
Not going to get a chance.
He's not going to get a chance. He's going to treat him like he's Drake Bird and kick it out of bounds. And the ball will be marked at the 44 of Western Hills. Looks like we've got a second offense as well for Great Crossing. Yes, Caden Bayes in at quarterback. A lot of numbers we haven't seen all night. Better get the roster and depth chart out. Javonte Dean split out as a receiver to the left. Inside handoff to Mike Pettigrew, his first carry on the varsity. Gains good yardage.
Always good to get that first carry. It's good for him.
Pettigrew, a sophomore, don't even have a height and weight listed for him. 19 yards to the 25. Warhawks took a bite of a 50 burger in this game last year, and they are about to do it again here with a quarter to spare. Pettigrew again. They're going to call holding here, I think. So you will not get credit for those yards.
Tackle made by number 2, Reason.
They will mark it off 10 from the spot. As Caden Bays comes over to get the call. Bays, a sophomore. Javante Dean, a sophomore. Mike Pettigrew, a sophomore. I see Caden Helton, a sophomore, on the offensive line out there. Preston Adams as well. A lot of 10th graders in the game right now. Last year's freshman team getting some action here on opening night. Bays,
Nice catch.
Good thrower. Only his man could get it, but an even better catch. Taron Lewis, or Teron Lewis. He's a sophomore as well. You get a little glimpse at the future as they get it back to the original line of scrimmage of the 25. Job well done by the starters tonight for Great Crossing, as they will get to watch the rest of this one. Caden Allen taking a knee over there on the sideline.
Yeah, and if you're Ricky Boland, you got the win, and yet there's a lot of teachable moments for this game.
Yeah, we're starting with the first play of the game, and then it was a little shaky for a while after that. As Bays has a lot of time now, he scrambles inside the 20 to the 15. Good job getting to the stick and stepping out of bounds. First down at the 14. Final minute of the third quarter. Caden Bays doing a nice job running the offense here.
Yeah, he's taking them right on down. And that was a good decision right there. Nothing was there. Pulled it.
Tuck and run.
Yeah.
I just like the presence of mind he showed getting to the marker and getting out of bounds in a normal game. Stop the clock if you were in a 2-minute situation that mattered. All things you'd love to see. There's the handoff to Pettigrew. He'll only get a couple this time up the middle. And that'll probably be the final play of the third quarter.
Play by number 73, Franklin. At the end of the third quarter, your score, Western Hills 7.
12 minutes of running time to go in this one. 46-7. It's been all Warhawks.
After that first play.
Yeah, boy. Some people still grabbing their popcorn or their dinner and hadn't even sat down, looked at the scoreboard and said, what's going on? Western Hills was on top, but it did not last long. Took a while. It was still 7-7 after 12 minutes, but Great Crossing hung up 25 in the second period. And another 2 scores here in the third to put it completely out of reach.
But I think, it works both ways. I mean, they were put in a great position a lot of times because of the punting woes by Western Hills, and you can't rely on that. So you can't really say, well, would they have taken it in or would they not have? But I'm sure Coach Bowling will be talking to the team and say, look, we're not going to get the ball on the 20-yard line every time we start a drive. But we did see a couple of nice drives and a couple of nice throws.
You talk about
Nichols,
teachable moments, some holding calls, some blocks that were that wiped out key plays. All opening night stuff that can be fixed. Second and 8 from the 13.
Be good to see the young quarterback take them down here and score. I think give him a lot of confidence.
JV offense about to punch it in here. Bays, nice throw over the middle, threw it into a crowd. Did he make the catch?
Sure
Yes,
did.
sir. Clayton Shaddix. Nope. No, I guess it was Vargas. I thought it was number 10.
And Western Hills' quarterback was the one that made the hit on that. He's like, I've been getting hit all night. I'm going to make a hit.
Yes, that was number 18, Israel Vargas. Yes, it is number 18. Looked like a 10 from here, but now I see the line in the middle. Ball at the 3. Pettigrew. He's going to tiptoe it into the end zone. First varsity touchdown for Mike Pettigrew. And once again, they crossed that 50-point threshold.
I was afraid they were going to call holding on the receiver there, but
if they had another touchdown wiped out by a hold, that would have been unfortunate. This game really could have been even farther out of control.
And to kick the extra point, number 13, Jesse Baird. The holder, number 14, Caden Bays. Kick is up. And it's good.
53-7 after the PAT.
Your score, Western Hills 7, Great Crossing 53.
I think we, that was Fair that kicked that one.
Did Fair finally get a chance?
Yeah.
He punted once in this game.
Yeah, he did.
Cranked out a
good
56-yarder, as I recall.
Yeah, well, and he blasted that
right
one
down to the
up
1 yard
on
line.
On the field house.
Put it on
there.
top of the roof.
Yeah, he was jacked.
Cameraman has to go get it.
Hey, Mr. C. Hey, Great Crossing Drumline. Great Crossing Drumline, I am calling y'all out. You already know it's fourth quarter. You know what we do, Drumline. I am calling y'all out. Great Crossing Drumline.
53 is a school record for points. 51 was the high water mark against Montgomery County last year. Of course, they scored 50 against Western Hills. They also had 50 against Grant County back in 2020. So for the fourth time, Great Crossing is over that high water mark. 53-7. They still got time to hit 60, honestly.
That was an excellent drive by the second.
Yeah, I was impressed with the command that Caden Bays showed. With the, and surrounded by sophomores, a great catch by Vargas, some hard runs by Pettigrew. There's another squib kick, and at some point, Western Hills has got to say, you know what, we've got to go after that. Caden Cedar almost recovered it before it went out of bounds. .59 to go. The clock has stopped. It really wasn't supposed to. Well, I guess it can on kickoffs. But sometimes they just wave those off, too.
Nah, he's rolling it.
Sometimes they run it even when the team scores a touchdown. They just let it when it's completely out of control by mutual agreement. Beautiful sunset here behind the church, behind the stadium.
My guess is Don Miller would not have an issue with that, considering
I think
got some
Don
guys
would like
injured.
to get on the bus and head back to Frankfort. Exit 53 as quickly as possible.
And I really hope those kids are okay.
Yeah, because he's up against it with the numbers. Nice hard run by Youngblood to get across the 40. Second and 4. Shaddix had a hand in the tackle there. Got himself a kick return touchdown earlier in the evening to start the second half. Send this one to where it is now with a running clock under 10 minutes. Youngblood Busy man tonight. Stopped shy of the marker, a couple of yards, actually. Good swarming tackle by the Warhawks.
It was. You can see those young guys are coming in there really wanting to make a play.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the young offense and defense.
Yeah, Clayton
there's
Shaddix.
not a lot of let up. And they're playing against varsity starters on the other side, by the
Right.
way.
Number 51, Dakari Price.
Hamilton and Price among the tacklers there. 3rd and 2. First down and more for number 22 across midfield. 3rd first down of the evening. Jaden Samuels, a freshman. Big back. Big for a freshman. He gets a full head of steam. Watch out. Ball at the Great Crossing 49, 8:37 and rolling. Samuels again across the 45 before he gets stood up. Gain of 5, maybe 6.
He's running hard.
He's getting his chance as well, taking advantage of it.
Yes, he is. I'd like to know his measurements because
He's
just
not a dime under 200.
Yeah.
I know that.
I mean, for a freshman, he's a big old boy.
He'll get it again and breaks a couple of tackles to the 40. Stop shy of the first down. Good stop there by Shaddix to deny him the marker. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Yeah, Shaddix playing hard. It's 2 good tackles in a row.
Again, wrestler. Those guys have made their presence felt tonight.
Is he a wrestler as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can almost tell by the way they tackle. It's just such authority. And not going to get to the marker there either, I don't think. It's
Like
good,
about a half yard short.
good effort by Landon Hamilton and Jackson Messino in the middle. Dakari Price as well.
Just got a update on a high school game, Cal, that Douglas is up 38-0 at halftime over Station. So
Wow.
they're not slowing down.
They're not messing around this year. That game was fairly close last year, as I recall. A couple of touchdowns anyway. First down as Williams moves the chains and keeps Western Hills with its most sustained offense of the night.
Yep.
38-0 at the half. Well, Douglas going to be tough to beat in this district, obviously. But again, we're thankful for the change that gives some of these teams a chance not to see them early in the playoffs, hopefully.
Yeah, that's huge.
Get some momentum and take your chances later. Because I think Jim McKee and I'm sure Ricky Bowling felt the same last year, that given a chance to play someone else other than among the 3 of them, they could have gotten a ways. Franklin County ready to do battle as they walk toward the field house, away from the field house, I should say, coming out. We'll have that one for you just shy of 9 o'clock here on the network. We'll go quiet for a few minutes as I do some other newspaper business down on the field. Swing pass to Youngblood. That's going to be, I think, a late hit on the quarterback. Yep. So that's going to move the chains even deeper into Great Crossing's end of the field. So Western Hills doing some nice things here. You got to like the no quit in them.
Yeah, and they're stopping. They're not supposed to stop it on penalties.
No,
either,
they
I don't
aren't really. Good gain on the play as well. So you attack 15 onto that. They'll be at the 18-yard line. 5:20 and counting. Youngblood, hard run again.
Yep.
Past the 15. Down to the 12.
That could be a good 1-2 combo for Western Hills down the
Youngblood
line.
and Samuels.
Yeah, they
Youngblood's a senior, so they can only do it for this year, but
got a spark plug of a back who's got speed, and then Samuels is
thunder and
just
lightning
a
kind of thing.
bowling ball.
Youngblood, the parting of the seas allowed him to go the distance on the first play of the game. Not much room to roam since then. He'll try it again here, inside the 10, inside the 5, down to the 3. Western Hills threatening to punch it in and give themselves something to feel good about before the end of this one. Graves will keep it. He'll be denied. The effort is good. He gets to the 1. Luka Johnson helped to bring him down, and he'll have to do it again. Second and goal from the 1. 3:30 to play by the time they get lined up. Samuels couldn't get there.
Good stop.
As 4 Warhawks ganged up on him. Carson Kidwell was in there. Messino as well. Under 3 minutes.
Quarterback sneak here would be my guess.
Yep. Garrison Graves puts it in the end zone. So Hills gets back on the board.
And that's something to start with. I mean,
yeah, one to grow on, kind of.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and I know it's against the second group, but you still got to feel good about something when you get on that bus.
They'll try for the kick. And coming in, almost blocking it, is Shaddix. And it's no good. 53-13 is your score. Won't surprise me if that's your final. Is 2:51 of running time. Great Crossing is not going to throw it, I wouldn't think. Sun has set here at Bird's Nest Stadium. And the sun setting on a victory for the Great Crossing Warhawks on opening night. They'll be on the road at North Oldham next Friday, followed by a home game against Henry Clay on the first Friday in September. 8-2 in the regular season a year ago, starting off very similarly here in terms of the score and the tone of this victory. See how that carries onto the road a week from now.
Well, it's always a lot easier to learn after a win
Sure is.
than it is after a loss. So that's a nice little pooch
Western
right
Hills kind of giving Great Crossing a taste of its own medicine there with the squib kick toward the sideline. Warhawks will bat it into play and cover it up. Might have been the Wolverines that batted it into play, actually.
I was just thinking if that was...
GC comes up with it. Somebody saved it from going out of bounds. Ball marked at the 33, times running, so only a couple more plays probably, and this one will be in the books. 53-13 at the second annual Bluegrass Orthopedics Battle of Elkhorn Creek. Scott County and Franklin County coming up in about 32 minutes, give or take. High snap to Bays. He'll get it down to Pettigrew. That's not Pettigrew. We got a new back in there. Armin Williams.
Might go.
Still going. I said they wouldn't have time to score. Guess what? To the house. Actually, that's number 35, I believe. No, is it 25?
20.
Yeah, I was right the first time. 25, Armin Williams. He's a junior. 67-yard run.
65-yard touchdown for number 25, Amon Williams.
We thought we only had 2 minutes, but that changed real quick.
Yep.
And the kick takes the point, number 13, Jesse Fair. The holder, number 14, Jaden Lee. He's up. And it's good.
I'll tell you what,
60-13.
Fair has looked tremendous since he's gotten in there and gotten that chance.
Crossing 60.
It's been an interesting road to 60. Some special team scores, one through the air, a bunch on the ground. Minute 41 to play in this one, and the clock has stopped again for the score.
Yeah, and Cal, it's not like they threw that ball or anything.
Kid just broke a tackle. It's just effort. I've always said you can't ask young kids who are getting their first action of the game to not try, to run out of bounds, to take a knee, or any of that stuff. It's on both teams to manage that situation. It was a simple run right up the middle.
You see, they finally took Zach Morris out on the kickoff. Like, what are you still doing in there?
That's why, sometimes people look at scores, whether it's in football or basketball or whatever, and if they weren't at the game, they think there was a run-up situation, and it isn't always the case. Both teams went to the bench, deep to the bench in the third quarter of this one. Of course, Western Hills bench isn't all that deep. Armin Williams getting some hugs on the sideline, rightfully so. That was a nice play. We thought he was down for maybe a gain of 5, and then all of a sudden he was squirting out of the pile and not a white shirt in sight. Charitably, about a minute has ticked off the clock. There's probably going to be one more snap, maybe. Or maybe not.
Well, they're looking like what play?
We're just gonna end this one by mutual agreement.
They were missing a lineman.
Yeah, they're not gonna have to snap it again, so they may anyway. And fittingly, a tackle for loss will end it. Dakota Vinegar on the stop. Your final score: Great Crossing 60. Western Hills 13. Scotty Sutton, it's been good working with you again.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure we'll see each other before this season's over. Sam will take that headset and that chair momentarily, and we'll have Scott County at Franklin County. We'll be back with you all in about 25 minutes. Thank you for joining us for Game 1. Stay tuned for Game 2.
See you, brother.